Alright guys, welcome back to another one. In this video we're going to be showing you how to install our BMW 3 Series, F30, 4 Series, F32, M3, F80 touchscreen system in your BMW. So let's just do a quick unboxing. So you get a user manual that shows the wiring and the guide. We also get of course the screen. This customer opted for the 10.25 inch touchscreen. So this one has of course wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Very nice screen. We have also the main wiring harness. So we'll show you exactly how to get that fitted. So pretty much two things, the wiring harness and the screen itself. In terms of tools to get the system fitted, we do recommend a microfiber towel, a impact driver with a T20 bit. You can obviously use a screwdriver with a T20 bit. We just use this to make it quicker. A Phillips head, a trim tool, and also a blade is also recommended as well. So that's pretty much it. We'll show you now how to get the system fitted in the car. So the first step is to release the dashboard trim. So you can pry up on the dashboard trim as so, and this whole piece comes out together. So you can use the trim tool that we include in the kit. This is if you include the trim removal toolkit when placing your order. We include a bag of these tools. So you can pry up on the dashboard as so, and then you can give it a pull and it will release. Once it's released, it will be held by two plugs. One plug up here, so you need to give this cable a pull, and another one is the hazard button. So the way to get the hazard button out is to actually push the hazard button through and unplug the plug like so. Then this is released and you can remove this, and that will expose two T20 screws for the radio. But before we do that, we need to expose another two T20 screws which are hidden behind this panel. So you can use a trim tool to release that panel, and that will expose the other two T20 screws here. Once those four screws are removed, we can put those screws to the side. We can also remove two T20 screws which are holding the screen in place. Keep those to the side as well, as we will be reusing them with the new screen. There's one connector holding the AC panel in place. There is no pin or tab on this. You just give this a pull. You can put the radio panel to the AC panel to the side, and that exposes another two T20 screws, which are holding the CD host or head unit in place. Once the head unit is pulled out, we can push up on this tab and pull the main harness out. On the main harness, you can see there is a green and black, green and black connector. We need to cut this Velcro tape. Please be very careful not to cut any wires, but we do need to cut the tape a little further back. That way we have room to pull the fiber optic cables out. To pull the fiber optic cable out, we need to push up on this tab, like so. At the same time, we can pull out on the fiber optic cable. The fiber optic cable is now released, and now we have the room to put it in the new harness. We can tape it up using the tape we have. That's to close up these wires to make sure they're not loose. The screen is then removed as well. Holding at the back of the screen is one connector. It's the LVDS connector, which is a pink cable. There's a small tab that needs to be pulled in on the LVDS connector. Once this tab is pulled in, you can give the connector a pull, and that will release the connector here. So now we're going to connect the main harness first. So first we're going to line up the pins, okay? This is our new harness, and this is the car's original harness. So we're going to line up the pins, ensure the tab is opened. Once it's lined up, you can close the tab, and that will ensure a secure connection. With the other end, we'll get the fiber optic cable that we removed from the original harness, and we're going to put that in the exact same position on the new harness here. So once that's secured, we can open up the tab and we can put the connector back into the original car's CD host and close that up. With the other end of this connector, we can run it up to the screen On the other end of the power harness, there is a auxiliary cable, which it says audio out. If your car does not support Bluetooth for audio, then this cable needs to be connected to the car's auxiliary port. However, if your car has Bluetooth, then you can pretty much zip tie these cables or tape them up, as we don't need that. You can also even cut them off if you don't want them either. Okay, so we're just going to run up the power harness. So we just run it around the side and we pull it out from the left side of the AC vent. Once that's pulled through, we can then pull it through the top. With the excess wires, we can tuck them towards the side here. That way it's not protruding when we put the dashboard panel and the AC panel back in. So do ensure the cables are run around the AC itself and not blocking the AC vent. And that's now the main power harness ran to the top from the bottom. The second harness is the USB cables. So these are also recommended to be installed. Normally we put the USB cables down here to the side. The white connector is of course run up to the top and is connected to the back of the screen. For the time being, we're going to leave these two USB cables here, but at the end we're going to upload a boot logo, so we're going to leave this exposed. However, once we're done, we're going to tuck these USB cables to the top. We're now plugging in the screen. So now we have the three cables, which is the LVDS, the USB and the main power connector. So we're going to plug them all into the back of the screen. Once those three are connected, you can also peel off this sticker as well. If it's it will probably look better without the sticker attached to the screen. Once all three cables are connected, you can put the screen back into place. Of course, ensure the wires are pulled down with it. That way no wires are left at the top or in the way of the two screw holes for the new screen. Once the screen is flush, we can see that the holes are lined up, so we can put those two T20 screws back in. We also want to ensure we power on the system, that way to ensure that the power is indeed working. So we're just going to connect it and we're going to check also the original interface to make sure that's working as well. And that's the original interface working. So that's a good sign. That means we can put everything back together and we can finish up with the installation. So we'll show you what to do next to put everything back together properly. Okay, so we're just going to put the head unit back into place now. We're just going to ensure all the wires are actually moved behind the head unit, because obviously there's a few more wires than normal. So we have a bit of space underneath, so we can pull the wires. You can see it there. Well, that's the main head unit, the main harness. So once that's lined up, we've got these two pins here. That's to ensure it's lined up properly. And then we can tighten the two T20 screws that we removed. So we can do them two. We can also do the two that are holding in the screen as well. With the screen, it's good for someone to push down on the screen while someone else screws it. That way it just sits as low as possible. So once those screws are in, we can now ensure that no wires are left behind, and we can put the we can put the AC panel back in as well. So we plug in the wire for the AC panel. Line up the brackets and the screw holes, and we can put the 4 T20 screws back into place to secure the AC panel. Another thing to note, with the excess wires that we have here, normally we do tape them up. These excess wires are if you want to connect an aftermarket reverse camera, a front camera, anything like that. This car already has a camera, so we don't need to connect them. But normally when we do the installation, we do tape these up to avoid any rattles. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to tuck them in for now. But normally we do recommend you to actually tape up the wires instead. So we're going to put this panel back into place as well. It's just held in by a couple clips, no screws or anything like that. And once that's done, we'll get the dashboard panel and we can plug in the wires, this one for the hazard button and this one for the AC button. Okay, so to do the hazard button, we normally run the hazard button, the plug through the hole, and we take it out of the other side. We leave it out. We then get the other plug and we plug that in from now. Then we put the panel completely back into place. So we line up the pins, we line up all the holes, and we pretty much just ensure everything's lined up before pressing the panel back into place. Once that's all flush, we get the hazard button, we connect it to the plug, and we clip it back into place. Once that's done, we can turn on the ignition, we can move the towel, we can test if everything's working. As you can see, the screen boots up. We're going to show you how to replace this boot logo as well, so we get a nice, either a BMW or M logo. So the screen powers on, we've got the doors here showing that the doors are open. We can remove that if we need to, and we'll show you all the settings we need to set as well. However, majority of the functions do work straight out the box. As you can see, the original interface is completely working, so that's very good. You have your vehicle information, which is very important. You can tap the screen to go back. We have CarPlay, we have Android Auto, we have another page with AirPlay, Auto Link, and all that stuff. We have set up here. Let me show you and run you through a couple of the settings that we need to change. So we go to System here. And if your car is a right-hand drive, so steering wheel on the right-hand side, we turn on right-hand drive. And this is important as well. If your if your original BMW system has Bluetooth for media, for music and all that stuff, then we want to turn on this channel. And we want to have our phone connected to the original BMW Bluetooth. Another setting we can change as well is we go down to car settings. If the resolution isn't correct, we can adjust that here. So if the original interface isn't displaying correctly, we can press and we can choose a different one here. For reversing settings, if your car has the original camera, you can select original camera. However, if you have aftermarket, then you can change that to aftermarket. Here's a couple settings for aftermarket as well. If your car has a camera button or a parking sensor button, let's turn on OEM parking sensor button. So we'll turn that on. Ensure that's on. Yep. Another thing I like to do as well is I like to turn off the front door and rear door settings. So we go close for both of them. And that's pretty much it for all the settings. We can now connect to CarPlay and we'll show you exactly how CarPlay functions as well and looks in this new 10.25-inch touchscreen system. Okay, so we've just connected to CarPlay. I had to do it off camera since we are recording with the phone connected. But it is very, very simple. It's simply just a Bluetooth connection. So yeah, this is obviously a wireless CarPlay. It does work with the scroll wheel, which is very handy as well. Of course, the screen is touchscreen, so you do have the option to use either or both options of controlling the screen. The steering wheel controls also work as well. You can adjust the volume. That all works perfectly fine. Of course, the system is a HD display, so it looks really nice. It's very crystal clear. It's built and it has a black bezel, so it's a very, very premium looking system. Of course, the parking sensor will work as well. If we press this button, it takes us back to the 360-degree camera or reverse camera. We have the doors open, so we can't really see anything, but let's turn on the camera. And there's the reverse camera as well. So we can press the parking sensor to turn that off. Obviously, if you put the car in reverse, the same thing happens. The reverse camera boots up as well. So the next thing we're going to show is what to do with these two USB cables and how we can put a custom boot logo as well. So when it starts up, you can either have the BMW logo or the M logo or pretty much any logo or photo of your choice. Okay, so for the boot logo, we want to get a USB thumbstick. We're going to put it in the computer. And we're going to wait for it to show up here. We can remove whatever files we have. We need to ensure the USB drive is empty, and we also need to ensure that it's formatted in FAT32. So we have the logo here. This is the one we're going to be using. It's a custom M logo. Okay. Most importantly is the name and the file format. So it's named updatelogo.png. Okay. It's a 1920 by 720p image. Okay, which is important. So we're going to close that. We're going to put that file in here. It says here 1920 by 720p. We can eject the USB drive. We take it from the computer and we go back towards the car. Okay, so we're back in the car and we're just going to put the USB drive into one of these two USB cables and we're going to show you the screen. So it does take a couple of seconds, but we should see a change happen, telling us that the boot logo has been successfully updated. As you can see there, it says update boot logo success, please reboot system. So we'll just turn off the ignition and then we'll turn the ignition back on. And as you can see, we have the new M logo when powering on the system. So obviously you can change this to whatever you want. Once that's done, we can remove our USB stick. With these two USB cables, we like to tuck them up somewhere still accessible and reachable, but not visible. That way, in the future, if we need to do a software update or use wired CarPlay or anything like that, we can use them. So I like to kind of leave them like this, leave them hanging. Obviously, you can tuck them up all the way, and they're completely gone. That way, it's much cleaner, and you can still use the system through wireless CarPlay as well. So if you have any questions about this system, do let us know. It is very straightforward. We do include a booklet in the package as well, but this is the installation for the BMW 3 Series, 4 Series, M3, M4 from about 2013 to 2018. So whether you have the CRC High, MBT or Evo original interface, we have systems available and all of them work as smoothly as this. So thank you for watching and we'll see you on the next video.